Hi, Lee. We'll be with you momentarily. Hi, Lee. We'll be with you momentarily. As soon as we get rid of that echo. Hi, Kieran. Yes, welcome, John. Yeah, it's the new dining room layout. Really great craftsmanship on my part because I designed the layout to look just like a dining room table, and I think I really pulled it off. Completely made out of cardstock, glue, and chipmunk poo, but I think it came out well. Hi, Jackie. Those are pictures from my groups of students. Not all the groups, but I think I'm missing two. From our exchange program where we went to Germany to the city of Delmenhorst for 3.5 to 4 weeks every June after the school year. All right, that was One After 909 by a band called the Beatles. They got a good sound. I think they might do well. Well, good morning, Ray. How are you, sir? So yeah, these are some of the group pictures outside a school called Max Planck Gymnasium. A gymnasium is a college preparatory high school in Germany, and this is in the city of Delmenhorst, Germany. And these are groups of students from over the years. I think I'm missing 2003 and 2013 as far as the groups go. But so some groups were big, some groups were small. Gotta put the. No, that's not what I wanted you to do. Yeah. I've only worked one job where I was on call, and that was a security officer, but it's not fun. Hey, Simon. Sorry I missed you coming in. I'm just going through some random screenshots up here while I'm setting some things up. Warning. The content on this stream is not suitable for children under the age of 16. The language, themes, attitude, and personality of the presenter was not suitable for his own children when they were young, and he was a permissive parent. Yet he behaves this way anyhow. Topics discussed will not center on trains and will focus on anything except politics. It just happens trains are running. Any similarity between characters, situations, trains, and intelligent thoughts is strictly a coincidence, and any rebroadcast or transmission of the stream without the expressed written consent of Major League Baseball is strictly prohibited. Viewer discretion is advised. Remember the rules of web channels and such in the train world. Rule one, it's your layout, do what you want. Don't tell someone what to do unless they ask you what they should do, and never call out, criticize, or mock another channel on your channel. This channel is a not so proud member of YouTube's all-encompassing special society of heavily overwhelmed layout enthusiasts. Like S.H.I.E.L.D. from Marvel Comics, we're working on the acronym. But regardless if you're into model trains, it all starts somewhere. In my case, I was 51 years old. Nope, check that. 52. I was 51 when I got the train for my birthday, and then I turned 52 because I got the train early. And that picture and video are from December 26, 2015, the first time since the age of 1970, so I would have been 7. Christmas of 1970. I got a model train for Christmas and did very little with it. I just wasn't into it. And then a lot of things happened, and I found myself into trains, and before I knew it, I was doing German AC 3-rail Märklin tracks and trains, and life hasn't really been the same since. But as my kids will often say, it keeps me out of the living room, which gives them free reign on the TV to play their video games and such. All right, let's look at where we're at. I better see if people are... Hey, Christopher, good to see you. Sakura, good to see you. Sakura. Anyhow, again, I usually change up a couple of trains. The theme for today, if there is one, is I'm running all my double-deckers. And so, yeah, all my double-deckers are lined up next to each other over here. I took off the freight train I ran the other day. I'm still running my IC1. I parked... This is a rarity, people. My Railjet is parked and my ICE3 is parked. I brought out my ICE2. This is, sadly, my most abused train. So he's not in as good a shape as everybody else. This is the one that was in my classroom. And one day when I was out sick, a couple of girls weren't paying attention. They moved the table so they could plug their stupid phones in because the sub wasn't paying attention. And they dropped the train to the ground because the table actually was 2 tables. And they did that. Then I'm running my red Regiobahn. You'll see that going by, double-decker and IC2, and the metronome, all Durchstockwagen, as we call them in German. And then way in the far corner, I've changed out the link class, and now I've got my Nordwestbahn. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start some trains. So give me a couple of minutes, and then I'll catch up with Chad again. Let's see, who are we going to fire off first? We'll get him going. The IC1, and he'll slowly get up to speed. So the IC2 will slowly take off. ICE2. I'm going to run these about 2/3 regular speed. Hang on. We have a problem. And before that problem develops... Sorry. Ha! Wonder how that happened. Let's see. We want the RE... Yes, I caught that, Kieran. I'm about to fix that. I moved tracks on them, and apparently when I was moving the cars, I disconnected them. The hand of God comes into play. There we go. Oh, it's amazing what God can do. I thought I checked that. Apparently, I did not. You start them in slow. I did do a running session with the new guys, but I did not do a running session with the guys who had been on, just to test them and make sure everything's going. That's right. Dave at Merthyr Station is live. All right, I got a couple more trains I need to get into motion while I'm babbling away here. Make sure he's going the right way. Yep. And then the metronome. Good, good, good. And then, oops, not what I wanted to do. And get you moving. Alright, so I think I got everybody in motion now. Well, hello, David Cook. Here, let me knight you. All right, High Water Road, thanks for stopping in. And again, go ahead and post your web page or a link to any other modeler or train site. Like I said, you can post links to your Facebook page if you have one. Just, you know, make sure your links have something to do with trains, modeling, or you yourself, as long as it's PG-13. Okay, let's get you cranking up a bit more. Maybe not that much more. What do I want to move over here? I want metronome. I want metronome. Come on. I want you over here. And I want 140. Oh, you're already over there. Good. All right, we're all set up then. All right, so let me see anybody else. So we had a little break from the heat wave that we had, where we had 2 weeks of 90 to 100 degree temperature nonstop. We had a small break. We had a massive thunderstorm come in last week, and it cooled down for a couple days, and then back into the mid 80s, upper 80s, which is like 30 Celsius to 32 Celsius, I think, in the UK. And now we're back up into the mid 90s, and we had rain all this morning. Sadly, I was looking for Chris from Hales Heritage Railroad to come online, because he usually does a live stream every day at 10, and he didn't come on today. There's Simon and his channel. Like how you did on trains, Kieran. Hey, you know, when it comes to running modeling trains, I'm not perfect, which is why I try to use a high quality train company to make up for my idiocy. But yes, the other day when I ran a live stream, Tuesday I think it was, I had my IC1 on lane 3. Today it's on the outermost lane, which I call lane 1. I wonder how I figured that one out. And I pushed the cars together, but I did not double check. You know, you get sloppy, lazy, or cocky, whatever you want to call it. And I did not check them out. So let's go up the ramp. Hey, Viaduct Central Model Railway, thanks for stopping by. Let me knight you. I hope everybody is well. I have moved the village view camera a bit to give maybe a little wider view, so that's kind of a nice shot, I think. Now, if you are absolutely new, and I don't think anybody here is, but I show it anyhow. First of all, the layout map. Here is the layout map with me in the middle at my control center. The only thing awkward here is I'm actually facing you, but in reality I am facing that little set of yellow blocks. My friend Vinnie Van Gogh drew up this layout map for me, but we also have the 4 cameras. You get an idea where everything is situated. On the left-hand side is the actual Dumb and Horse, well, not the actual, that would be really big. It is a 100% scale accurate recreation of the Dumb and Horse train and bus station. Eventually I'll build the city of Delmenhorst in there as well. I just have building stone up there. On the right hand side we have just 2 other little station buildings that I found in garage sales and bought for a couple of bucks and put together. Some other buildings that were being threatened and thrown away, and I rescued them, and they were either in the boxes and I had to build them myself, or they were already put together and some were broken, just needed me to find what I could to put them together. But that's kind of the layout table with the different cameras. Everybody's over on the 11-lane view right now, or close to it. But we got the ICE2 heading towards the station at Delmenhorst. So if you go from we'll follow the ICE2 around. So this is the village view. This is the station view. I wonder how it got its name. We then have up the ramp. We call this up the ramp because this is actually coming up a ramp, which you probably can't see, a 3-inch ramp. And then we have what we call the long run, and there you can see the ICE2 going through the long run again. Woohoo! Not time for a hand spasm there. And then he comes into the 11-lane view, which circles around my command center. You can see my hand, computer here. I always like this view. I know I say it every time, but it's cool to see all the trains coming in at one shot. Welcome Hypno's Best. And in case you don't know, Lee is on tomorrow, Friday, at 6 o'clock UK BST time, which is 1 in the afternoon here in the good old USA. So let's do up the ramp because we got a couple of guys coming up the ramp. Let's catch them at the station. Ooh, hey, we got 3 of them all there at the same time. The village view, I should say. But as always in Germany, high-speed traffic is white cars, wagons with a red stripe down the middle. Now, the difference between an ICE2 and ICE3 is just that end there. The end cars are different. Actually, the passenger cars are a little narrower and taller on the ICE3s. but the noses are a little more snub nose on IC2s and IC3s. Really, I can't distinguish the difference between an ICE1 and an ICE2. Hey, Ian from Kings Fox Junction, welcome. Yes, Jackie, I finally found those. I never had any kind of a notification, not even the little red mark in like Messenger that says you have messages, because even though I friended you on Facebook and you sent that stuff, apparently I had to go in and allow you to send me messages, which I usually know, but usually you get a warning that says you have some messages waiting for you. Do you want to approve? So yeah, I have been, I went through them last night, late at night, and finished them up this morning. So yes, they were very cool. I was familiar with the famous 96 and all the lawsuits that pended, and you know, back in the 90s, I was very offended that Liverpool fans were portrayed so negatively when it came out that it was the city of and other people's faults. But let's not rehash a very ugly moment. This is my little sunshiny happy spot. When the rest of the world is driving me crazy, I come down and meditate to trains. Maybe you're that way too, people. Mrs. Dodge decided to risk the heat, humidity, and potential rain and go for one of her vaunted 5 to 6 mile hikes in this weather. Not me. I decided to come downstairs and play with trains. She tries to get me out for a lot of walks for health reasons, and but I'm not going out in that stuff. So who's got anything new? Again, if you got videos coming out, announce it. Chat, say hi. Otherwise, you're just watching my trains go in circles. All trains go in circles and loops, but mine's a rather simplistic one. I have my 2 oldest surviving trains. Surviving, that sounds bad, doesn't it? I have my 2 oldest still with me trains. I gave away my old original, that IC3 that you saw on the this little bit here. That little IC3, I traded away to a gentleman named Herb in Canada. And so let's go to long run. I think they're all coming down in there. But that red Regio Regio just means regional. So regional traffic. This guy coming into view right now. He is now he's my second oldest train, although the locomotive is a newer locomotive I got about a year and a half ago. The cars and the locomotive, which is parked over here, that's my oldest set of cars now. That is my oldest. I got those in March of 2016. Early March of 2016. Jackie, I am really sorry to hear that. It was ugly. It was ugly. And then the other old Pro is still in my possession. Let's get the pointy cube. Right there. There he goes. Right there. That little blue and yellow dude. That is my Nordvestbahn Lint class. Nordvestbahn. And I got him in April or May of 2016. I'd have to go check the videos. But he's my second oldest now that my one ICE3 is gone. Kieran, you made your layout nameplate. Cool. Well, hello, Thomas Hartman. Welcome to my channel. Or at least second time I've seen your name. First time. Now, the Nordvestbahn, that little guy going right through there again, that tiny little diesel dude, he runs between the cities of Bremen and Osnabrück, including stopping off at Delmenhorst. And you're like, Bremen, Osnabrück, don't worry about it, guys. In the German commuter traffic world, there are the federal government-owned ones, the red Regiobahns. So, again, nice and easy to understand. If it's white, it's high speed. If it's red, it's government commuter traffic. Nice and easy. If it's any other color, it's private company commuter traffic. So if I wanted to go from Delmenhorst to Osnabrück, now again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, let's go to the maps. And if you look on the map on the right here, now my students and I spent a month in the city of Delmenhorst, although we did travel to other towns for field trips and stuff. But if you look on the map on the right, you'll see there's Bremen, a big green area, because Bremen is a city and a state. It is both a city and a state in Germany, just like Hamburg. And if you go south, and then a little west, down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a yellow star that says Osnabrück. And those Nordvestbahn, they go from Bremen to Osnabrück. Actually, they go from Oldenburg to Bremen to Osnabrück, including through Delmenhorst. So they go Bremen, Delmenhorst, Oldenburg, and then turn left and head down to Osnabrück, head south. So they head west to Delmenhorst, northwest to Oldenburg, and then straight south to Osnabrück. But sometimes it's one of those little Lint Class 648s. And very rarely, like 6 times a day, it's a red Regiobahn. Hey, Chris, thanks for stopping in, and I'm sorry you weren't feeling well, or still aren't feeling well. Yeah, I did miss, because always enjoy the morning group. Well, for me, it's morning. For you guys, it's early afternoon. But you could just kick back here and watch if you're not feeling well, or go take a nap. Try some tea with honey, as my mom would suggest, or if it was really bad, a little whiskey with honey. Apparently honey was the magic cure to my mom. Hey, Gareth, nice to see you too. And again, Chris, if you're still in here, you do not have to apologize for not putting up a stream or not coming into a chat room. You don't have to apologize for being sick. It's our job to feel sorry for you. You get well. Take care of yourself. Let's see. Let's go ace review for a second. So, most of you guys don't notice a lot of the times when I do if I think about it, and I know I'm going to go live stream, and I kind of thought last night I'd go live today. I always put on a Germany shirt. So today I'm wearing München. Now, a person did ask me about the shirt I wore on Wednesday because it had a real funny mash shape on it. That is from a famous historical place in Germany near the city of Osnabrück, about 25 miles northeast of Osnabrück. It's called the C-Gleis, and no, I'm not going to spell that for you. Actually, I can, but I won't. The C-Gleis. And the C-Gleis is the site where in the year 9 AD, a large Germanic tribe army under the command of a gentleman the Romans called Arminius, and the Germans call him Hermann, because Arminius is a Latinization of the name Arminius, or of Hermann. And near this, at this place called the C-Gleis, about 18 to 25,000 Roman legionaries, 3 full Roman legions were destroyed by Germanic tribes warriors. In the worst defeat the Roman army had since Hannibal destroyed them at the Battle of Cannae. And sorry, I'm getting messages. So, anyhow, for hundreds of years, where the battlefield had, where this battle had taken place was not known. And in 1987, a British colonel, I think he was a colonel in the British Army, was metal detecting on this farm near the town of Bromsha, which is 20 miles east of... Oh, okay. Nice, Simon. Very cool. I think that looks pretty good. I'm sorry, I'm getting unsolicited photographs. No, I'm getting footbridge pictures. Nice. That's very cool. And considering that's N scale, better you than me, mate. Better you than me. N scale scares me, and I know we've got a lot of N scale lovers here. But hey, Tim JD, thanks for stopping by. Nice to see you, sir. How are you? But yeah, let me finish that. So yeah, this battle was such a traumatic. It changed the history of Europe. It changed the history of Europe dramatically, because after that, Rome never tried to cross the Rhine River or the Danube River in force. So basically, west of the Rhine became Latin colonial area. And so many of the people that spoke there became Latin-based languages, such as French, which is basically Old Germanic and Latin blended together. Just as Spanish is Latin and Old Celtic blended together. So anyhow, but this, and then of course, north of the Danube and east of the Rhine stayed Germanic, and so you get the Germanic languages, and then one of the Germanic languages was Old High German, and a branch of Old High German was called Anglo-Frisian, and Anglo-Frisian became the ancestor language to Dutch and English. And of course, English has been influenced by French and Latin ever since. So there's a little bit. Hey, Dave, nice to see you, sir. How's the end build going? You're live in a few hours. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're drawing up. Now that you finally decided on a scale once and for all. And for those of you who don't know, Dave here from Merthyr Central, and I probably botched that heavily. But hey, it's been 30 years, 35 years since I did Celtic in linguistics classes. Merthyr. But anyhow, yeah, this defeat of Rome was so drastic. It was so that Octavius himself, Augustus Caesar, his dying words were recorded to have been, Varus, Varus. Varus was the Roman general. Varus, Varus, where are my legions? Varus, Varus, bring me back my legions. And then he died 5 years after the battle. Augustus, they said, was a broken man after that defeat and spent the last 5 years of his reign, from 9 AD to 14 AD, pretty much depressed. And Rome, again, was so upset that the 3 legions involved in the battle, the 17th, 18th, and 19th, their numbers were stripped, and no legions were ever renamed those numbers. So 100 years later, Rome had 30 legions to guard its empire. It had 30 specific legions, but they were numbered 1 through 33 because they skipped 17, 18, and 19. So you had the 16th Legion, and then the 20th Legion, 21st Legion, up to 33. Wow, everybody's over there. Let's check that out. That's a nice shot of the long run, and you can see the windmill up there. Hey, let's do up the ramp. I tend to stick on the 11 lane, but hey, it's another time. We got some business happening at up the ramp. Let's go straight into the station. And in reality, both those trains would then stop at that station and drop off and pick off. Lord knows I have ridden both those trains many, many, many times. But that was my military history bit come out. That's my college education coming out. I was the first member of my family to go to college. Second member in my grandfather's bit. My cousin Dave was the first to graduate college, but he was 10 years older than me. But I'm the first one to graduate. My sister eventually graduated college in her 40s as a mechanical engineer. I think that's what it was, some kind of engineer. Definitely not chemical, not electrical. So yeah, I think it was mechanical engineer. All right, Ray, have a good lunch. Thanks for stopping in for a few minutes. Nobody's coming that way. Let's go back to the long run because we got a guy coming right down in the ICE2. And there's the IC1. So IC1 next to IC2. Rachel's here. Did I miss Rachel coming in? Kieran only has a couple of photos of his old layout. Now it's the stuff from Swanwick East. There's Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Wow. See, my problem is I'm watching the cameras and talking, and I'm not watching who comes in. I really got to improve that. Hey, Francisco Soto Hernandez, saludos desde Estados Unidos. And that's the last bit of my Spanish outside of Me llamo Anthony. ¿Cómo está usted? Pear Lane, welcome. The Stuttgart Project. Welcome, Stephen. Yeah, somebody's doing that as a model railway layout. Yeah, I was in last June, not this past June, but June of 2019. I was in and wow, was it hard to get in and out off the trains, because my wife and I always travel by train. It was insane. We did not go over to Stuttgart, but we were staying in the town of Kempten, and we went up to spend the day at and see the famous Munster church there. And wow, they had the entire train station area, the entire Bahnhof area was completely torn up. It was a mess. And it was hard to work our way out of the station and find where we wanted to get to walk into the Altstadt, the old town. That was crazy. Well, I'm going to say muchas gracias, Francisco. Unfortunately, how does it go? Me hablo no español. Me hablo. No, yo hablo. Yo hablo un poquito español. Muy mal español. When I was in what Americans call junior high, I don't think most of the other world has it, but in many American school systems, you either have middle school, which is 6th, 7th, 8th, or junior high, which is 7th and 8th, and we had Spanish and French. So they made us take half a year of Spanish and then half a year of French. No German, which is, of course, what I spoke and knew. And then when I studied linguistics at the university, I got a degree in linguistics, and of course we had to study basics. Now, if there's anybody who does not know, and I don't know why you would or wouldn't, linguistics is a study of how languages form and how they're connected and related and interconnected, let's call it that. Real Madrid is the only Spanish you know, Chris. But he's saying that Feliz con Märklin is happiness with Märklin trains. Yes. I think everything I'm running is a Märklin model. Yep. Yes. Eyeball site says confirmed. Yes, they're all Märklin cars and locomotives. But yes, linguistics is one of my degrees. Yes, I said one of mine. I've got a few. I've got, I don't know, maybe you don't want to know, maybe you are peaked. I have a bachelor's degree, Bachelor of Science in Linguistics. I have a Bachelor of Science in English. I have a Bachelor's of Education in Secondary Education. I have a Bachelor of Arts in German. I have a Bachelor's in Education in English. Then I have a Master's in English, a Master of Arts in English. And if I were to take 3 more classes, I'd have a degree in history. And then when I was, my first teaching job was in the state prison system, the Ohio prison system. The very first class I taught as a professional teacher, not as a teacher trainee, but as a professional teacher earning a paycheck, had 2 murderers, a rapist, 3 violent assault, a grand theft auto, and several other bits, drugs, and so forth. That was my first class teaching. But when I was doing the training before they put me in there, we had to study psychology and prison psychology. And we also had to study self-defense. So we got courses in law, the judicial system, criminal psychology, and general human psychology. Criminal prison psychology, and we had to study that heavily. It was 8 hours a day of classes for 3 months. Well, Francisco, your English is only, well, it's better than my Spanish. Let's put it that way, and maybe the Spanish of many other people in this. If you can speak more than one language, I just think it's awesome. I'm impressed with that. The professor. Yeah, you would bring that up, Tim. Sadly, that was a nickname I had early in my, both in my junior high and high school. I was called either the encyclopedia or the professor. And then as a starting teacher, we don't necessarily get paid much in America, depending on where you're at. And I had to have second jobs. Once I stopped teaching the prison system, I definitely had to have second jobs. So I would teach during the day, and then on the weekend and during the summer breaks, I would have another job. And once people found out I was a teacher or that I had a couple of college degrees, I was always, hey, it's the professor. Hey, professor, how you doing? How you doing, professor? And I hated it because the minute people, you know, they treat you different. I try very hard not to come across as an egotistical know-it-all. I fail, but I try not to. I try to just be calm because I don't judge people by intelligence. I judge people by how you treat other people. You can be the smartest man in the world and a jerk, and I wouldn't respect you. You can be the dumbest man in the world with a heart of gold, and I'll think you're the most awesome person. Hello, Jason. Welcome. But the thing is, I became addicted to school. School was an escape for me. I grew up in pretty tough neighborhoods. We had gangs, not the blood crib stuff that you came out in the 80s and 90s, just neighborhood tough guys and punks and dope dealers or whatever formed gangs. And you either joined the gangs or you got your butt kicked. And I got my butt kicked a lot. And school is where the teachers saw what I had and knew what I was going through both in my neighborhood but also at home, because my teachers knew my parents and my family and knew there were problems there. And so they would keep me busy at school and give me all kinds of things to do at school. So school became the safe haven. I love school. And people always say, "You're a big guy." I'm over 6'3" and was always in pretty good shape. How could you get beat up all the time? I said, because those Bruce Lee movies are a lie. When you see a Bruce Lee movie, again, thank you, Francisco. Muchas gracias. And I think a lot of guys on here know about being bullied. I mean, I wasn't alone in that. But yeah, I would get jumped. I would, instead of riding the bus home, I would walk home, and they would wait for me at certain streets, and I would try to take different streets, and they would just wait for me because, I don't know, I was some kind of a threat to them. But those Bruce Lee movies, Bruce Lee stands there and he's surrounded by 40 guys and he beats them all up. That's not reality. You can be a master of Kung Fu, but if Bruce Lee were in any of those fights in real life, truly any of those fights, he would have been killed. Because if 10 guys or 15 guys want to kick your butt and weaponry is equal, no weapons, or everybody's got nunchucks or something like that, even if Bruce Lee had nunchucks and the 10 guys he's fighting didn't, they're going to swarm him, and they're going to win. If you ever watch those stupid movies, Bruce Lee, one guy at a time attacks, and they all take turns. Well, that didn't happen in reality. In reality, you're watching one guy to your right, and a guy from the left catches you behind the leg, and all of a sudden they're on top of you, swarming you. So yeah, I got the crap kicked out of me. I was in hundreds of fights growing up. I was stabbed twice. It was not fun. And then I got bigger, and people started going different places, and I eventually caught up with most of the guys that made my life hell, because once I got bigger and got into shape, I found my chances to take revenge. My Uncle Dale, I remember, I was like 14. He took me aside and said, "I'm going to teach you how to fight." And I'm like, "Well, I know how to fight. I also know how to bleed." And my Uncle Dale said, "Look, I know you're getting swarmed. I know they're jumping you. But here's what you do. You just pick one guy in the crowd. You pick one guy in the crowd. And before they get you, you just put all you got into one swing and break his nose. You do what you have to do to win, because the other guy's not there to dance with you." And this is a guy whose advice I take since he flew bombers during World War II. And so I started doing that, and pretty soon there was about 15 guys in my neighborhood with broken noses. In today's world, I would have been shot. But back then, it was just, they swarmed you, they beat the crap out of you and left you bleeding. But, so gradually, there were a lot of broken noses in the neighborhood. And then finally, I was just bigger than everybody, and they left me alone. Hey, Leslie Gilpin, welcome. Oh, yeah, thank you for reminding me. Jason and Rachel, that was like a special news report yesterday, bouncing back and forth between your live feeds, waiting for the Britannica 70000 or 70000 to come in. That was very cool, because I did study a little bit of the history of the train to try to understand why you guys were so excited about it, other than it was a steam locomotive. Well, obviously it had quite the history. Built in Crewe in 1951. See, I learned that. And in 1952, it was the lead locomotive on King George VI funeral train. So quite an important train, obviously. But it was very cool. I'm an empath, so when you guys were getting excited about it, I was getting excited about it. Let's see what's happening over here. I know what's happening over here, but nothing. I could just look behind me. But the station's coming up. You left school at 15 to join the Navy. Well, my father lost an eye in Korea, and he would never talk about his experiences in war. He would never talk about it. And the only thing is, when the military tried to recruit me in high school, my dad said no. He did not want his son going into the military. And then in my junior year of high school, I was recruited by West Point. And then I applied and was accepted at West Point, the United States Military Academy. And all of a sudden, my dad's attitude changed. Yes, go! I'm sitting here still watching the station, nothing's happening, but here we got a little, let's speed this dude up just a bit. He's going a little slow. Let's give him a little more speed. There you go. Darn it. There we go. Tim, the Fowler car system is just going to be in the station. There is a loop of traffic for cars to go around, and then there are turnoffs for the buses to pull in and then pull into their bus stops. However, my wife and I, as we expand that, we are leaving it open to expand in case I change my mind. It would require some redoing what I've already done, which scares me off, but just in case. But most of the area I'm going to build is a pedestrian zone, so that's where I'm at with the Fowler car system. So the current answer is no plans to do so, but we are leaving that option open, but no real plans to do it. Wait, why are you getting more trains flashbacks there? I haven't crashed anything, Kieran. I had one uncoupling, which you probably caused by some black magic ritual you were doing. Jackie, isn't Lee on 6 o'clock tomorrow, or is Lee going to go at 6 o'clock today too? And Dave, who I still think of as Dave-O-Rama's dioramas, is live at 8 today, and I'm very eager to see what he's plotting in his new N-scale world, because I have got a sore neck watching a couple of people bounce back and forth. N scale, double O scale, N scale, double O scale, N scale, double O scale. Both. Or you could be like our buddy Tim Wells, who was trying to do all three. N, double O, and O. On Tuesday, I gave some of you a view of the parking area, which is behind this picture. It's actually over there. You can't see it. It's not even on the map. It's not even on the layout map. For those of you who don't know my layout map, here it is. And most of you already know it. So if you were standing behind me over my shoulder looking in the camera as I am, the layout would be orientated this way. So I have the 11-lane area right to my right. That's this area right here. We call it the 11 lanes because there are 11 lanes across, of which at any given time I can be running 6 trains. Because that's what I'm about, 6 trains. Okay, bye Chris, thanks for stopping by. Hey Simon, thanks for stopping by. It's always good to have you around. And yes, your picture looked really cool. I'll say that again. So I tend to leave this video on because you just tend to see more trains. But there are other shots that I like. The village view. I want to get a better camera for that. But right now, the better quality cameras are not available. Or you pay 4 times what you normally pay for them. Yeah, let's go up the ramp and catch this guy coming in. And so most of you probably recognize I use what's called OBS for both multi-camera angle filming and for live streaming. My son and son-in-law put me on it a few months back, and I've been trying to learn all its things. Now, the one thing I did have learned is a lot of, especially these, I always call them El Cheapos, these generic webcams. They really want to be plugged directly into your computer, a dedicated port, USB port on your computer. They don't necessarily like being put on USB hubs. The multi-ports. They don't like to be put on USB hubs. And so sometimes I have to convince them to work with me. And of course, these are all inexpensive ones. If I had a $150 or $250, $300 really fancy conference calling webcam, they would obviously have better images. But uh-oh, darn it, I bumped it again. I'm leaning towards my central station and I keep bumping the stop. Oops. All right, turn around, don't touch. My control area is just a bit cramped. Only when I'm trying to do streaming, because I'm trying to lean into the microphone and control the cameras. Hey, John Dawson, good to see you. Welcome. Let's see. What speed are you going at? I'll tell you what. Let's crank you up just a bit. My IC1 here is going 118 kilometers an hour. Although technically it will usually go about 180 to 200 kilometers an hour. There he is right there. So for the sake of camera, I scale it back. I also learned that when I do like the Polaroid Cube cameras. and put them on the track. I've got a couple of running sessions where I use the cube camera to get a cab eye view shot of the trains. You really have to run your trains at a half to third of scale speed, because when you're down at that level, our eyes, it's something about our eyes and the frame rate and everything, makes it look faster. So if you run them at scale speed, it's like light speed. Gauge wars, yeah. No gauge war here. I got into HO before, well, because as a kid, HO was the only scale I really knew. I did see mini trains. I think I've even seen, I know I've seen Z scale as an adult. As a kid, I probably saw Z scale at one of the train shows at the malls. Little mini trains. But once I got my first couple of trains, I began thinking about maybe going to N scale, and I basically talked myself out of it for several reasons. And of course, I have my reasons now, which weren't the reasons then. There is no way I could work with N scale. The nerves, the shakes, trying to adjust a train, trying to fix a train, trying to do all the wiring, because with N scale you have to do DC or DCC. There's no magic track, as Christopher, my friend Sakura Densha, calls it, magic track. This stuff, this Miraklin C track, or Trix C track. There's that little Dostok, little red Regiobahn. And then the ICE-1. Now, this isn't a clear picture of the ICE-1. It's not 100% true, but a lot of times you can tell an ICE-1 from an ICE-2, because on the ICE-1s, just below the red stripe, there's a lighter red or pinkish stripe. Although there are some ICE-2s that have that. But from the ICE-2 up through ICE-4 now, there is just the one red stripe. Yeah, this guy's going to come into the station, so yeah, I didn't have him on that controller. Now, I've had a couple of American friends ask me why I go on so early, because they're at work and stuff, and I kind of, I have to kind of split the difference between all the UK shows that go on in the evening, which is your afternoon, or your evening, but our afternoon. So anywhere between 6 British summertime and 11 British summertime, there's all kinds of feeds. And if I'm subscribed to a channel, I try my darndest not to get in the way of an announced feed or live stream. If somebody else is going live, I won't. But if I'm down here and I'm bored, then yeah, I'll do a live feed. You drove a German train better. Well, that's just German construction, Kieran. That'll start a war. I put on 11 lane, nobody's here, but that means they'll soon start showing up. There's a little red Regiobahn. I had to clean him up pretty good because he had sat for a long time. I'd probably gone close to 7 months, 8 months without running him, and now I've had him on 3 different live feeds running. Because I tend to play with my bigger trains. So to project personification onto a train, I think he's very happy to be running. And even my metronome has not been a problem here since I have the control car leading and not the locomotive leading. There he comes right down there right now, that gorgeous yellow and blue. I really like the metronome style there. Plus they're Ruhewagen, they're quiet cars. You have to be quiet on those, no talking. Yes, and that's why I do it, because Leslie, I have probably more UK subscribers and people that come on the chat than the American. And I do have German and Danish and Dutch, Swiss, Central Europeans. And as you saw today, a gentleman from Costa Rica who has been a subscriber for a long time. No, Tim. Leslie already answered it. Yeah. It's the same price. Lower or upper. And there are some people prefer to go upper. Like my students, when I took them, always wanted to be on the upper levels. This wonderful group. These are, if you weren't here earlier, I had this up on my page when I started. These are some pictures of my students at our exchange school in Delmenhorst, Germany, Max Planck Gymnasium. And so some of the different groups I took to Germany. And yeah, they always wanted to rush up. Whoops. Yeah, there's my station in that when it's lit up in the dark, including the actual working bus departure time signs. Let's go back to this because we got a couple guys. So no, it's same price. And by the way, on the white one here, Leslie, that's high speed. That is not regional. That's high speed, but the price is the same. You buy a seat and it doesn't matter where. The only difference is first class, second class, and first class are cars, and they have first class both above and lower sitting levels. So yeah, that one there is actually a high speed, which means it's a little more expensive. Hello, Somerset Andy. Welcome to my rainy day train running. It's Trains for Rain. I don't know, we'll have to work on that advertising campaign. Hey, that rhymed too. It's stuck in my brain to do a campaign about running my trains in the rain. A little alliteration goes a long way. Leslie, my wife and I just, how long is the trip going to be? If we're traveling within a state, we'll use the state tickets, the Regiobahn, Landeskarte they're called, or Landesticket. But if we're traveling over a couple of states, it winds up in many cases being cheaper to buy economy class, because my wife and I always go economy class. We have been first class exactly once. Exactly once have we ever been first class, and that was in 2019. We were offered an upgrade. They said, hey, for an additional 10 euros each, you can move up to first class on this train. So we spent 20 euros and moved up to first class. Well, hello, GWR, ASGWR, the man without a name, and we have to call him by all these acronyms. Some people say, why don't you call him CG? Because, well, he specifically said a while ago he didn't want to be called CG. Admit to it. You did say that, didn't you, GWR? See? And no, that is not Tim's Jack and Coke. This is American root beer, Barks root beer to be specific. My son made root beer floats the other day, and I don't do root beer floats, but I do root beer. And it's a weird name because it's not beer, it's pop. It's carbonated caramel, I think. And here comes up the ramp again, that little Regio. The little red Regio. Der kleine rote Regio. Now I've made everybody feel bad, including you, GWR. Now they're going to call you and me all sorts of names. Yeah, coming out of the station, so let's get to the village view real quick. And yes, I will actually be working on my Fowler car today after I get off this stream. I've been waiting where I could have a couple of spare hands to help me. So I had to fit my wife into my schedule, or she had to fit me into her schedule, however that works. Because I have to be under the table and then pop some sensors through. She has to pull them up and turn them in a certain place, and then I have to wire them into the modules. I'll leave this on because the guy's about to come around into camera view. There he is. In fact, I've run my freight train twice since I started doing these live streams. 2 or 3 times, and I rarely run my freight train, going back to that thought. Uh-oh. Sorry to hear what happened. Oh, Heath, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh. Timber Surf, welcome. Yes, all those buildings. Let's go to them. Village view. All those buildings are plastic kits. And all but a couple were saved either from garage sales or garbage dumps. I was dumpster diving. Some of them were garage sales. I don't know if you guys are familiar with garage sales in the UK, but yard sales and garage sales where people sell stuff from their yards or their garage. And so I would go looking, or if in the paper they specifically advertised model train stuff, I would go, and if somebody had some German, European looking buildings, I'd buy them. Sometimes they were in boxes, sometimes they were already built. Many times they were heavily damaged and I had to fix them up. But yeah, they're all plastic kits. Saved from scrap, yes. Hey, Paul. Oh, I've seen the boot sales too. Yes. Actually, I think the boot sales are really cool. But in America, if somebody's trying to sell you something from the trunk of his car, you usually want to walk away because it's usually illegal. Yeah, I've got some stereos in the trunk of my car. Real Sanyos. Only $150. They're 400 stores. They're $400 in the stores I stole them from. I mean, I acquired them from. I also set up my trains today just because my brain is everywhere today. Let's go to scene 2. The trains that are going through my Delmenhorst station are trains that would actually come through Delmenhorst. And the trains on the other side that don't come to the side of the table you're seeing right now are trains that would not stop in Delmenhorst except for one. The little diesel guy coming around right there, that little blue guy with the yellow trim, he would stop in Delmenhorst. So let me see. Yeah, there are names we don't admit to. I had the misfortune of a high school teacher trying to be funny and not realizing I was not a popular kid in my high school because my high school was predominantly rich kids and I was a poor kid paying my way through. It was a private school. And the rich kids did not like the poor kids, unless the poor kids were star athletes on the sports teams. But I had an English teacher my sophomore year give me, junior year, stick me with a nickname that I had to take a lot of crap with. So yeah, we all have names we don't like to be called. We all have that name. Of course, I think it doesn't matter what culture you're from, but I think we've all been through this bit. You know how much trouble you're in by how much of your name your parent uses, right? You all know that one. The length of your name determines how much trouble you're in. You know, if my dad was happy with me, he didn't even call me by my name. It was, son, come here. Hey, Butch, come here. If he had something he wanted me to do, he called me by my short name, Tony. Tony, come here. I need you to help me with this. Okay. But if he called me by my full first name, Anthony, it was serious. If they threw in the middle name, it was really serious and I was in trouble. And if they threw in the last name, I was dead meat. And if my dad yelled, Anthony Scott Dodge, I was in tears before I got up out of my seat. That was probably going to be the last time I sat down for a while. Now the funny thing is I go by my full name. I don't like being, as I've mentioned a few times, I stopped being called Tony about 30 years ago. The only people who now call me Tony are my wife and her family. No, Tim, that little station does not have a name. Actually, I lie. The little station has a little sign on it that says Bergheim. I gotta look at it. So yeah, that little station right there, it's called Bergheim. It's just some model I picked up. I did not give it a name or put that model together. That's one I just saved off a junk heap at a home clearance where the old man who lived there alone was dying and his family just came in, put everything out, sold what they could, and the rest was in junk boxes. And it was like they had a bunch of model train buildings in a box, and it was all German, Central European stuff, and it was like 50 cents a piece. And I said, how about I give you $20 for the box? And they said, sold. And it wasn't in good shape, but I managed to fix it up. And now, this is only temporary, because that will not be there in the long run. That will eventually be moved, and a big city block will go there. That'll probably be 10 years from now. But I don't know how well you see that if you're looking closely at those buildings, but it lights up. Just jury-rigged. Some wiring run to a pack of 3 AA batteries. I gotta go back and catch up on if anybody responded or if I missed. Because, yeah, I was trying to catch up all that happened to Heath, other than he took some good stuff. Okay, so you were trying to update the firmware and boom. Eek. Not good, not good. Somebody mentioned helping put a G gauge in a yard. My wife actually, we were sitting on the deck last week, our patio, our backyard deck, looking at our little backyard. And I said, you know, we could fit an O gauge in this yard. And she looked and said, yeah, we could. Do you really want to put an O gauge in here? And she was like leaving just enough room to say, if I was really serious, maybe. And I said, no, not really. It'd be hard to mow and get around the yard. And she said, good, because I really don't want an O gauge in the yard. But that's how agreeable she is. She will tell you later, I really don't want one, but if I wanted to put one in, she'd probably be, and where's this money going to come from? Are you going to stop buying HO trains? And I'd be like, no. And then she'd say, then you're not getting O gauge. All right, I'm sorry you're getting Circle of Doom. I'm really sorry. I did not notice. Have I had Circle of Doom up, people? Is it on my end or my feed? Let me check. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, at the usual level of health. So I'm sorry, Jackie. Thanks for stopping by. So, yeah, I'll see everybody. Well, I'll see you and anybody else in Dave's. Hey, anyhow, I did not do this yet. I haven't had any entrants in days. I'm feeling depressed. I am running a contest. I will work out with you how to get it. It is, you know, somebody expressed concern like, you know, YouTube doesn't like it when you do this. YouTube doesn't like it when you do it to gain subscribers. But this specifically says you had to have already been a subscriber. So it technically fits in. They don't like giveaways anyhow, but they really don't like it if you're using it to gain subscribers. But this is, I am having a contest. You have to go to my live feed number 9, I think it is, and just pick a scene from, you don't have to watch full episodes, just the first couple of minutes. Pick a scene between me and the Ghost of 2015. If you don't know who the Ghost of 2015 is, you're definitely new to my page, but that's the Ghost of 2015 right there. The dude in the white shirt playing with a train. So just look for the picture of the guy in the white shirt find something that you thought was funny or stupid and just quickly tap on, hey, I thought it was funny when 2015 did this. Like when 2015 stole the toilet paper. That was funny. Okay, so you go back to that. So anyhow, let's go back to the contest. So just put that in the comments section. I've got 12 entrants. Although for some reason, Tim, your comments are not showing up on my feed. They're listed as being on my feed, but they're not on my feed. I got it. I saw it. But when I look at my page, they're not there. But when I go into my all comments section, they're there. So I don't know if you have a privacy bit going on there or what. I don't know. Anyhow, so it's live stream number 9. You can enter by Sunday. And I will do a lottery live feed on Monday or Tuesday. You will see it live. No hanky-panky. No monkey business. Why is it being deceitful and fooling around have the same euphemisms? Hanky-panky, fooling around, monkey business. So definitely none of either forms. None of that will be live. Only good, positive gambling will be live. I've already got names listed onto the Wheel of Fortune, so I'm hoping to add more. So just comment sections of number 9. If you accidentally did it somewhere else, I haven't had any comments on videos in about 5 days. I'm feeling unloved, people. I'm feeling unloved. No, it won't, human. There's a couple of people that say YouTube doesn't like this, and excuse me, sometimes they like to press a panic button. But no, overall, they don't like it if you're doing contests to draw people in, like, I'll give $50 to the 50th person to join my page this week. You know, then they're a little uptight about it. But YouTube, their algorithms for security have holes in them, just like even the stuff that came out with COPPA last year, where we were all in a panic for a bit, and some people have been nailed by COPPA unfairly. But the problem is, especially people who aren't Americans, they're putting up, like, I think Dragon Junction, Alan at Dragon Junction does it for sure. Well, I shouldn't say for sure. I know Ray Boble at Beauville and Newtown Railroad does it. But a lot of people put these warnings, you know, not for ages 13 and under. That's not what COPPA is about. That's not what COPPA is about. It's not about whether you're putting on content for underage kids. It's, are you allowing underage kids onto your page for advertising? So if you mark your video on when you go to stream or go to upload it, if you mark it not for kids, you're covered. You don't need to put the additional security sign on. It's fine if you do, you just don't have to, because that's not the real issue. They just don't want people who are under 13 subscribing to your channel, especially if you want to make money. Okay, thank you. So yeah, I mean, I think me saying thank you to 500 plus people who have been insane enough to join my channel should not be a YouTube issue. But YouTube right now is now after this. You guys, many of you have heard about some sites, not just in the train sites, but apparently there's a couple of more famous train sites that have done it, buying subscribers. And so YouTube is doing a lot more sweeps, getting rid of improper subscriptions. My subscriptions the last 2 weeks have been a yo-yo. 540, 542, 544, 541, 538, 543, 548, 546, 544, 5. It has been much more up and down by larger numbers. Usually it's up or down one or two, but it's been shifting by 4s and 5s a lot the last couple of weeks. Yeah, Leslie, a lot of people panicked and closed their channels. And I remember going on to a bunch of channels I hadn't even subscribed to, but I was looking at COPPA stuff in the train world, and I'd go, don't close down, don't panic yet. I hope I'm not being breaking any of my own rules, because I'm not talking negatively, but, you know, I remember John Warner at Piccadilly was very concerned, and maybe my memory's bad, but I thought at one point he said in one of his videos he was thinking of pulling his channel down, or that he feared he might have to. So I hope that's not seeming as talking negative or badly. I really swear my memory tells me that in the fall of last year, he put in one of his videos that he was concerned that he might have to take his channel down. I know Robert's Train had posted a video and said he was going to shut down, and a lot of people said, wait, don't. So yeah, it's let's see, where do we want to move cameras? Oh, I'm always catching that guy through. Station view. We got one guy going through, and same guy coming up. Oh, let's do the up the ramp. Got a little business happening up the ramp. The Regio Bond just passing through. The ICE going the other way, and now the IC1 coming up. Now this train that's coming around the corner here, none of these cars light up, and I need to send them off. As a lot of people know, I really want to send them off and get them all lit up. But I've got a lot of little things I want to do, but a lot of little things cost a lot of money. And if you didn't hear me talking about it, since October of last year, I have spent a fortune, and not on trains. My wife and I built a shed in our backyard so we can move things out of our garage. And then we had a storm damage our garage roof, and we had to get that fixed. Insurance covered most of it, but not all of it. And then when I was getting the Christmas stuff out to decorate the house, I went into the crawl space under the roof and found lots of water, and so we had to get the roof replaced. And then in the middle of that, I injured my back and had to have basically 4 months of therapy and pay all the bills. So all my little train money is going to other people right now. So the trains that I was going to get new lights on the cars, and it all has to wait. Christmas humbug. All right, Ebenezer. Sooner or later, the ghost will have to come and get you. Maybe I can get rid of the ghost of 2015 and send them to you. Nah, he won't go to you. You get a lot of stuff done. You got cool stuff. Then again, that might draw the ghost of 2015. You get stuff done, and it's cool stuff. Beats him hanging around here nagging me. Ooh, let's go to Long Run. Because we're about to have some business over there. No trains, other than some freight cars. But look, there's a train. There's another train. There's a train. There's 3. 4. 1 now. Back down to 3. Now up to 5 if you count them real quick. Hey, Dale. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I mean, I think there is, Leslie, there is an algorithm for getting subscribers, but it doesn't always work. Um, Obviously, if you work on your trains and are consistently posting and you work on trains and you show trains, that's going to draw more subscribers. And then your layout. But you can't say that because the top two UK model train channels don't have layouts. Will at IC82 and Sam, who is now the highest, and I think Everard Junction's catching up to them, getting closer. But Sam, well, okay, Sam has a bit of a layout where he's just thrown whatever he could and put that in there. But Sam shows new trains and new stuff, if you can call them new, because half of them are old trains. But he's got so many trains, and that draws people in. And he does reviews, and he does fixes, and he does all these things that appeals to people. But you look at Tristan from Double O'Neill. Hey, Ray, welcome back. Hope lunch was good. Yeah, Ray, you've been doing your site for 6 years, and you show a building process. You've got a good personality. You've got a cool site. Now, early on, you had the layout in the room because that's when you were living with, let me get my memory straight, because I crammed so many of your videos into a couple of all-night binge watches. You were living with the in-laws, is that correct? Or sharing a house with your in-laws? And you had this layout at a previous house, and then you moved it in. You had to keep altering it. But yeah, you've been working on that, and you consistently put stuff up. Why did it just now pass 300 subscribers? I can't guess, because to me, you check all the boxes that lead to a channel. I mean, Sparky has 7,000 subscribers, 4,000. I forget where Sparky's at. He's got a great personality. He does cool stuff. But you look at Tristan. He started in January, and I was like his 15th or 16th subscriber. He just came up on a feed one day. I watched the first video and said, this kid's cool. And in 7 months, he's over 3,000 subscribers, I think. And so Ray sits there and says, hey, I've been on 6 years. Now, technically, I've been on YouTube for 10 years, 11 years now, but I didn't start posting videos until 2.5 years ago. And I was on 100 subscribers thanks to my family and friends. But in November of last year, after 1 year, I had 200 subscribers. And then since November of last year to now, I've shot up to 540, whatever I'm at today. How that happened, I don't know. I know part of it is I do American and English. And so the American guys that get tired of watching the German sites that are very mechanical and mathematical and kind of less personable, I'd say half the people that are my subscribers are American people, and they just want to see American trains and listen to somebody talk about American in English because they don't want to hear German. So one day I should mess with them and start speaking all of Deutsch. Hier fahre ich mein Regiobahn. Fährt nach Bremen. You know, and really just start going crazy. But, you know, sometimes there's just that one catch that catches people to suddenly start signing in. To me, it was American. Once I started doing American, my subs increased. And yes, if a big channel gives you a boost, and I've mentioned it a few times, Tristan at Double O'Neill mentioned me in one of his videos, and boom, I got 25, 30 subscribers within a week or so after that. Now, granted, I'll bet half of them turned around and left. But I've been hanging on some of the big channels and talking, and well, on my channel, I do nothing. But I don't know that I try to discourage subscribers, but I don't care if I have 100. I would rather have 100 subscribers where 100 of them watch my videos and drop comments than to have 600 subscribers and only 15 of them watch my videos and chat. So as you can see, I've got 22 people watching this, of which about 10 of you are actually chatting. So who knows? I mean, I can understand why I had a big jump in subscriptions, but I know my live feeds have added another 50. But Ray, you do all that. You deserve to have 5,000 subscribers. You got a great channel. You get a lot of people on your live feeds. So I don't know. There seems to be an algorithm, but it doesn't always pull. You look at Wardle Road, Ollie from Wardle Road. He has just exploded recently. I think he said he just topped 2,500. But he's got to have gained what, at least 1,000 or more since he started doing that 5-inch gauge stuff. Because probably all the 5-inch gauge people, 5-inch gauge people are like, finally a channel, and it's a young handsome guy. Pa-dow! I mean, if I wanted to gain 500 subscribers real quick, I'd just tell my wife to dress as a French maid and sit here and talk. Yeah, I'd gain a few subscribers real quick. She won't do it. Lord knows I've tried. But that's what I do now. I like to talk to people. There are no trained people. I've got my friend Matt, my friend Steve, and because of COVID, I have not seen them since October of last year. They come down a few times a year, and we run my trains. They bring some of their trains down and run them, because, Steve does, because Steve runs Miracle Trains as I do. And we just run trains and talk. And after seeing all the people talking to each other on their live streams, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll give it a try. And because I'm sitting at home with no work, if the weather's bad or I'm bored, I'm going to pop on and see who comes in to talk. I'd really like to do a face-to-face. I really want to learn how I could do live, where some of you would hop on and I could run my trains and show the pictures of my train running while chatting and get your faces up in some of these screens here and actually hear voices. I would love to do that, like a Google's Hangout thing. And that's exactly it. My layout is my sanctuary, Ray. This is where I come to meditate. When I'm down here, I can close out. The only other thing that can work, like if a lot of things are really bugging me, things in the world, whatever depressions hit us all, sometimes my wife can just kind of talk me out of the gloom. Other times it's come down to my trains. And to be honest, I have run my trains more since I started doing live streams than I would be if I weren't doing the live streams. And I've run different trains more. There are trains that hadn't run in months that I'm putting in the live streams because I'm trying to change it up for the viewers. You've pretty much seen all 12 of my trains except my ICE-1, which does not drive. That's another one waiting to be sent off, but he needs a new chip. Well, I shouldn't say he needs a new chip. I want to put a modern chip in him and make him all MFX, lights in the cars, but it's an old train, so it takes more work. Yeah, Leslie, I know there's a way to do it. My son and son-in-law can sometimes sit down here and help me, and then they'll walk away, and a day later I'll be like, what did you say? I forget what you were telling me to do with my layout video. I don't want no tea. It gives me a headache. Bonus points if you can name the character I was just doing. Hey, Leslie. I have one video with 3,500 plus views. I'm shocked. But it was aimed at both the whole train world, where I was trying to explain American AC before I started my American show. It's like my 9th video I ever posted. It's called Controlling My Layout. That got 3,500 views, but it's also got the most hates, the most comments, the most negative comments. I've gotten the most angry emails from that one video, except when I talked about radius 1 curves, I probably got the most negative emails. I offended a lot of my German people and American users who love radius 1 curves, and I really was not trying to take a side in the issue, but that's one of those cases where if you don't immediately say you're with them, you're against them. Started building the G-Gauge, being disabled. I'm sorry to hear that, Paul. If I had a neighbor that was building a layout, I would go and offer what little help my concrete brain and clumsy fingers would help. But gladly, here, I'll hold this for you. All right, I'll check this. You want me to lick my finger and stick it on this and see if the current's going? Yeah, I'll do that for you. I would do that. I was brought up by my father to be self-sufficient with house repairs, although I didn't learn a third of what my dad knew. I have probably gained an additional third, but my father's knowledge on my father was a journeyman electrician and worked in factories below his pay grade and his knowledge grade, but it's where life was. But my dad grew up in a time where you built your own houses. And there's 3 houses in Toledo my father and his brother built entirely themselves, from laying the foundation, every stud, screw, bolt, wire, and they're gorgeous houses. Small, except for the one they built for my brother. That was a gorgeous house. Would love to have had that house. That had a basement I could have built 3 times the size of this layout in. Yeah, I would love that house. But, since we bought this house, I have done a lot of construction projects. I have rebuilt and remodeled every room in this house, except our bedroom, which is what I'm working on now. And I've tried to teach my kids some, but now I need my kids to help with stuff, or my wife. But my kids are all grown. My son works at a chemical factory. He's a chemical engineer, and he designs chemicals that are used in soap. His company makes them and then sells them to the soap makers. And he works 5 to 6. Dang it! Tony, get your elbow off of there, knucklehead. But yeah, that's the thing, Kieran. I am watching so many live feeds. Everybody sees me, so I am around more, and people know me, and so they come to my page, which is great. When I go back to work, I'm going to be missing everybody's streams. When I go back to work, that's going to be weird. Then again, maybe I'll just give you all my address, and you can all watch me teach and learn some German. You can come into my German 1 classes and online and watch me teach and learn some German. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Guten Tag, wie geht es Ihnen? Welcome, Shane. Shane, come back, Shane. Bet you haven't had to put up with that quote all your life, sarcastically speaking. But yeah, it'll be very hard to keep up with everybody's live streams and feeds. Of course, once everybody goes back to work, everybody will be cutting down. Right now, everybody's got a lot of time. And we won't go into any other issue with that. Just saying. Right now, and me personally, because I don't work other jobs anymore. Early in my teaching career, I taught and worked other jobs. 20 years ago, so many years ago. I also played a lot of sports. Ray, you're a big bowler. I bowled. I played men's softball, fast pitch, slow pitch. I played co-ed softball. I coached soccer, football for the rest of the world. So I had a very active life. In the last few years, I've gotten very sedentary and don't do a lot, which is why I went and put on about, well, 70 pounds I put on 70 pounds between the age of 37 and 44. Do you hear that? 70 pounds between the age of about 36, 37 and 44. 10 pounds a year for about 7 years. They want you to move to Atlanta from New York City. Not going to happen. Well, if they asked me to move to New York, I would say no way. And if they asked me to move to Atlanta, I'd say no way. I gotta be Ohio, Michigan. I could see myself moving up to Wisconsin or Minnesota. Maybe not Wisconsin. Maybe Minnesota. I love that area up there. But in reality, I'm never going to move. My wife and I are going to die in this house. Because really, I'd move to Germany. But I had dreams. When my kids were in college, I thought, all right, we're going to raise these kids. They're going to go off and become big, important business people and travel the world. And, we can move or retire to Germany when we're done, blah, blah, blah. No, that didn't happen. Not that my kids aren't successful, but they all moved close to home. They all stayed close to home. And now with a grandbaby on the way, there's no way my wife is moving to Germany. She is not going to be a phone call away from that baby. Shane, we're not going to talk about that stuff in here, please. Hope I'm doing the right thing. Sorry to hear that, Timber Surf. Obviously, the years at Germany, not only have you learned to speak it well, but you write it well. So, you will find, Timber Surf, that if you were to go 10 years without using your German, if you found yourself in Germany, what you learned does come back. It comes back slowly at first. I went probably 12 years from I graduated college and finished my German coursework. I went 12, 15 years where I didn't speak German other than Guten Tag or tried to teach my kids a little bit of German. And then one day I got asked to start teaching German at one of our high schools. And I figured, what the heck, I could do it. I knew more German than the kids I'd be teaching anyhow, and it came back very quickly. The advanced stuff came back very quickly, because even the third years and the fourth year kids really did not have a lot of German, because American kids, unless the guns to their head, so to speak, really don't force themselves to learn a foreign language very well. I think 4 years in American high school of learning German would be equal to about 1 year of college, 2 years of college. And I went to a good school where we had a good German program, but I already knew German going in, or a lot of German going in. All right, let's, somebody's coming there. Hi there. What's up? Aha. And off you go. She's not going to appear on camera today. Also is auch. A-U-C-H. Auch. Ich habe das auch gehört. Ich habe das auch gemacht. Er besitzt das auch. Munich. München. München. Well, I mean, to be honest, Timber Surf, Spanish and French are European. Okay? But French will always have a strong, strong pull because of lingua franca, which is Latin for language of the Franks. But French was always seen as a language of the culture, of the cultured, a language of the educated, a language of high society. You know, there's always going to be that bias toward French. Spanish, in America especially, because yes, we have a lot of native speakers of Spanish. I mean, we have to remember, before this became America, this was owned by, a lot of this area was owned by Spain and France. You know, part of my linguistical, for example, what do you call the French speakers of Louisiana? You call them Cajuns. And the cuisine, Cajuns. But where did that come from? Well, it came from the name of a section in Canada, Acadia, which became Acadia, which became Kaja, which became Cajun. A Cajun. I am a Cajun. I am a Cajun. Because we often take words and break them up. For example, in English, the word apron used to have an N on it. It was napron, and it's related to the word napkin. And in British English, you have nappies for diapers. Anything of cloth was nap. So a napron, a napkin, a nappy, a baby's diaper, that was nap. But in American English, and obviously British UK English as well, we switched the N to the word and. You know, instead of saying a napron, it became an apron. A napron became an apron. And we also did that with the word Apache. The word Apache for the Native American tribe is, they call themselves the Apaquiche, which means those who speak with words. Apaquiche. Apaquiche. And so some cowboys out there going, hey, what do y'all call yourselves? Apaquiche. Apache? No, Apaquiche. Apache, right, gotcha. You know. I'm sorry, I get into the words and derivations of words. Word etymology and all that. Yes, Leslie, Canadian French it's a dialect. The people of Paris think everybody outside of Paris speak rustic French. The people of outside France think that the colonials in Canada and Haiti and so forth speak gutter French. I love to get a person from Spain, a person from Mexico, and a person from Puerto Rico and Cuba together and let them argue Spanish. because they all accuse the other of speaking crazy Spanish. And yet Spanish comes from Spain. But the Spanish spoken in Spain is very different than the Spanish spoken in Mexico or Puerto Rico or Cuba. So is the speed. But we have that in Germany too. We have certain dialects in German where they go 900 miles an hour with their lips, and certain dialects where they're very slow speaking. And we have that in America. I speak very fast. There are other dialects where it's slower. And that's some ways I don't like it, although we all do it. You know, I've got a degree and a master's in English, but we talk about proper English. Proper English doesn't exist. American Standard English is something we said, this is how we want you to say it. But it was all based on basically a Boston and East Coast dialect of English, which the rest of the country didn't speak. And I'm guilty of using this stereotype too. For example, the Southern accent in the United States is always looked upon as being ignorant. And I will do it because my mom's family is from the South, and, well, they can be very slow about things. But my mom had a Tennessee accent, so she kind of came from Tennessee. She would sound a little bit like Dolly Parton. And all her relatives, my mom wasn't born and raised in Tennessee. She was born and spent much of her life in Wyoming, but she moved to Tennessee and picked up the accent. But to annoy my mom, I'd always do a Southern accent. But you could hear a Southern gentleman from deep Alabama using his Alabama accent and talking about neurosurgery, and some people listen to that and go, listen to that idiot. No, he's talking about neurosurgery. But we have a bias against that. So that's my preaching on dialects. But yeah, we all have it, and we all have our biases as to, everybody else has an accent. I don't. I don't have an accent. You do. But I got into this because the neighborhood I lived in had lots of accents from around the world, and it was kind of cool to hear them all, and I just loved language. I remember there was this radio show when I was a kid that would get piped in from the UK and be replayed on American radio, late night CBS radio. And the gentleman would have you say a bunch of words, and he could tell you where you were from, in some cases down to the neighborhood or even the street of New York or London, by the way you said certain words. Because like London has like 30 some different accents. The city of London alone has 30 some different accents. The city of New York has about 15 different accents, just in English. And we're not talking somebody from Asia speaking English with an accent. We're talking American descended, Euro or African American descended, who grow up in neighborhoods, whether it's the Bronx or Queens or whatever, Flushing, Flatbush, etc. And they have distinct accents, and this guy could tell them. Yes, exactly, Leslie. They can change everywhere. In New York, we have the same thing. Even in Toledo, we have subtle accents. When I was growing up, I had what a professor called the Toledo A. Anthony. The A with everything. My name is Anthony. We say Anthony. In England, you guys are Anthony. That A sound, which is the European A. In German, the letter A is pronounced A everywhere. If you see the letter A, it's pronounced A. Bank, not bank. Bahn. Bar. That A sound. But I'm Anthony. Not quite that long. Anthony. That aunt. My aunt. Not my aunt. Not my auntie. I need to put this mic over here. I'm 6'3" in a 6-foot area. But yeah, there's so many, and so so many accents, and I do just love hearing them. And there's always biases, like in Germany. In Germany, if you're in North Germany, they think Bavarian German is garbage. And then whether you're Bavarian or North German or Western German or Prussian or whatever, uh, they all hate Swiss German. I don't know if any of my Swiss friends are listening. Pop in. But yeah, Schweizerdeutsch, Schweizerdeutsch, Swiss German. I struggle understanding Swiss German. But usually, if a Swiss person meets you and realizes that you're not speaking Swiss German, they will go into some form of High German to help you. And I think I talked about this a few streams back. In northern Germany, there is the. Oh, wait. Lee was going on, wasn't he? Am I over? Sorry, kids. I need to check something real fast. Oops. I got to see if I need to get off. I lost track of time here. I just babble on and on and on. Nope, nobody's live yet. I thought Lee said he was going to do 6 today, but I think he meant yesterday. Or maybe he's waiting for me to get off. Well, I'll start winding down here. My wife's probably wondering, when am I going to suggest lunch? Well, Shane, New York's got missing R's, but that's as much Boston. Boston moves R's. You wash your car. You don't wash your car in Boston. You wash your car. I parked the car by the bar downtown. It's not even Boston. It's Boston. New York may just lose the R's. Boston moves them. That New England accent. I'm going to chop a tree down with a saw. The saw I got in the trunk of my car. Okay, Lee is tomorrow. Because he did type earlier that he was 6 o'clock today, and I asked, and I didn't. He probably responded, and I didn't see it. But yeah, Lee is tomorrow at 6, and Dave is at 8, but I probably should start winding down. Yeah, Lee is always live on Fridays, but somewhere up above, if I were to scroll miles back, he would have said there was type that he was doing live today, and I asked, Lee, aren't you tomorrow? Not today. But I'm babbling, repeating it. Hey, up the ramp, we got a twofer. Yeah, Austrian German is very, very, very close to Bavarian German, with Vienna having its own little dialect. But most of Austria, it's still kind of the Bavarian Tyrolean dialect. There's two big differences, most noticeable. Obviously, there's a lot, but the two biggest ones as a German speaker are, in German, they have a lot of CH. Like the word for book in German, B-O-O-K, is in German B-U-C-H. Buch, Buch. You say, you got that little scratchy sound, Buch. And so the word for I in German is ich, I-C-H, ich. You make a K sound and then go huh after it. Ich. You know, ich. But anyhow, in Bavarian and Tyrolean, Austrian German, it's SH sound, ish. And then the other one is the R, and I won't get into the vowels, but the R, in German, the R is very soft. Like, you don't say Rudolph, it's Rudolph, almost like a W, Rudolph. The name Karl in English is Karl. The word for border in German is Grenze. You don't say Grenze, G-R, it's Grenze. One of the cities dear to my heart in Germany, Bremen. Bremen. You don't say Bremen with a hard R. It's a palatalized R. Bremen. Bremen. Dresden, not Dresden. 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 But Austrians and Bavarians trill the R. So it's Grenza. Grenza. Ich rauche nicht. I don't smoke. Rauchen. They trill the R. Rudolf. Karl. You know, I always struggle trilling the R in the middle of words like that. Karl. Karl. Wir. And then in Prussian German, you just say everything with a sharp breath. You suck in between your teeth. Yeah. And then you say ja a lot, very quickly. Ja, that was my aunt. Ja, wir müssen, ja. Just very tight-lipped, that was Prussian. So, yeah, there's all kinds of crazy. All right, John Dawson, thanks for coming and staying for a while. And Dutch is one where I really don't speak Dutch, but I understand what they're saying in Dutch. Same thing with Danish. I understand Danish. I don't speak Danish, and I offended some people in Germany who were Danish. I offended some Danes because I was listening to them talk, and apparently I laughed at something they said, which was funny, and she looked at me and said, "You understand Danish?" I said, "You were speaking Danish?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Wow. It sounded just like Northern German." And they were so offended. "Danish sounds nothing like German." And I'm like, yeah, it does. Yes, it does. Danish is nothing like German. Yes, it is. Yeah, rauchen means to smoke, or to smoke, like to smoke cigarettes or to smoke food. But if you're saying smoked food, they put it in its past tense form with the umlauts. Räuchert, geräuchert. Geräucherte Käse, smoked cheese. Geräuchertes fish, smoked fish, geräuchert. And then, yeah, trying to teach people about umlauts. I have fun teaching my students about umlauts. Because my students always complain, "Mr. Dodge, why do they change all the letters?" And I have to go, actually, they didn't change them, kids. We did. J in German is a Y. You have to always say a Y when you see a J in German. So it's not Julia, it's Julia. It's not July, it's Juli. W is always a V sound, so your name's not William, it's William, although Germans usually say Willem, which is also the Dutch way. Wasser for water, Wasser. And then F is V is an F sound. Yes, Ray. A lot of times, if your name has O-E, A-E, or U-E, then it was German and had umlauts. So like you see somebody with the last name Mueller, M-U-E-L-L-E-R. Well, it was M-U with two dots over it, L-L-E-R, back in Germany, Mueller. Like my mom's maiden name in German had nothing to do with that, but it was Rietz. My mom's maiden name is Rietz. They were from Germany. Rietz. Her dad was from Germany, I should say. She wasn't, but her dad was German. Rietz. Andrew Rietz. Andrew Rietz. And sometimes people say, well, why do the Germans make the V sound in F? So the German word for father in German is V-A-T-E-R. V-A-T-E-R, but it's pronounced Vater. Father, Vater. And that's because the letter F and the letter V are the same letter. If you never studied that. Yes, the Amish speak an archaic form. I wouldn't call it Swiss German, but the Amish speak an older form of Old High German. And it's basically from the southern Rhineland area into Switzerland. I would not call it Swiss German because Swiss German is a more, say last 300 years derivation. As time changes, accents change. Dale's not here, and Dale was, I think, from Dale, Highball, and Hogger. I think he said he's from Tennessee, but now he lives in Louisiana near New Orleans. Now, 200 years ago, nobody had that accent that people from New Orleans have today. It grows. Languages are fluid. They grow and change. They're not static stone. But the German that the Amish in America speak is a static German. It is a German from the 1600s because they don't allow it to change. But when they speak German to each other, it is a German that's very hard to understand because there's still the difference between the German that's in their Bibles and that they use, that they learn in the school and how to pronounce it. And then once they go out in the street, they pronounce it a different way. Just like Jennifer Kirk talks about how she had a certain accent and then she had to be trained to work for the BBC or whatever, and she had to be trained to pronounce things more correctly. Just like Dan Rather was born and raised in Texas, the old American newsman. And to become a news broadcaster, he had to train himself to speak with a certain standard American accent. Well, Leslie, actually that symbol called the S set is two S's. It's called in German the S set, and it represents two S's. But yeah, because F and V, going back to that, F and V are the same letter. To make a sound, to make a letter in language, in speech, okay, not writing, but to make a letter in speech, there are three body parts that are always used: your lips, your teeth, and your tongue. Those three body parts are always used: lips, teeth, and tongue, and I guess you could argue vocal cords. I mean, technically vocal cords. But what happens is, so when you make an F sound, fa, and you make the V sound, va, fa, and va, you could do this right now at home if you wanted to. Close your eyes. Don't say the letters out loud. Don't make sound. Just like you were trying to mouth it to a friend across the classroom before the teacher hit you with the ruler. Just go fa and va, but don't actually say them out loud. Pay attention to what your lips, teeth, and tongue do because they do the exact same thing. Fa, va, fa, va, fa, va. So why do they sound different to us? Because one is called an aspirant. You breathe through it. So that's where the lungs and vocal cord part come in. When you say fa and va, you can put your hand in front of your face and do it and say them out loud. Once you realize, wow, F and V, I do the same thing with my lips, teeth, and tongue, now say them out loud and put your hand right in front of your mouth. With the F, you'll feel air on your hand. You'll feel a lot of air. Fa, va, fa, va, fa, va, fa, va. If you put your hands in front, you feel air. That's because we blow air along the vocal cords and cause a vibration. We call that in linguistics an aspirant. You breathe through it. And there's all kinds of letters that do that. Yeah, I know a couple of you said I know a couple of people don't have the teeth, but yeah, if you do have your everything there, again, your lips, teeth, and tongue do the same thing in both cases, even if the teeth aren't there. And we have many letters that are like that. L, the glottal L and R are the same. K and G are the same, which is why in German, a lot of times the letter G sounds like a K. G at the end of word sounds like a K. Like you don't say Guten Tag, it's Guten Tag. You say the G hard. D and T are the same. If you've ever had to learn, if you've known somebody who is deaf and they have to learn lip reading, they can't tell if you said D or T. And people that are completely deaf will often put a finger up to the side of your mouth when you're talking. They'll do, let's see, I guess I'll put this up. They'll put a finger up by the side of your mouth so they can see your lips moving, but they'll put it near your mouth so that you'll say dent or tent to feel the air, and then they know which one you said. And again, you can go duh, tuh, and you notice you breathe on the T. T is an aspirant. So there, you just had a quick lesson in phonemes. Morphemes and phonemes. But we have a bunch of those. G and K, P and B, pa and ba, pa, ba. Which is why a P and a B look like the same letter, except one's turned upside down or reverse of the other, B and P. How D got into there, I don't know, because D and T are the same. And yes, we have dropped letters out of use, and we picked up letters. But English is the most effed up language on the planet. I know if you speak English, you're like, hey, Chinese. No. English is the most effed up language out there. And I will defend myself because of this. English is a Germanic language which uses the Latin alphabet and has a lot of French influence in it, which is why our spellings are so crazy. Notice all the words that end with the letters O-U-G-H. Bow, though, through. I think we've got 4 pronunciations of O-U-G-H. Oh, tough. So there, yeah, all those. English is a messed up language. And I always said it this way. English is messed up because English is like somebody told you to play basketball, but then they gave you hockey equipment and put you on a football pitch. That's how messed up English is. Imagine trying to play basketball with hockey equipment on a football pitch, because that's what happened to English. English was a Germanic language, then the Normans came in and put a huge French influence on it, and then the scholars, when they decided to create a written form of English, used Latin grammar and Latin letters and tried to force English to fit it. And it doesn't. That's why we have all kinds of crazy rules with exceptions. I before E except after C, or when sounding like A as in neighbor and way. No, Timber Surf, because I have to do so much typing in German, I just have, on the language, I have both the English and German alphabets set up on my keyboard. It's fairly easy. Y and Z are crossed, and then a few other things are in different places. But the main letters outside of Y and Z are in the same places. But if you want to do the umlauts, where the colon and semicolon is, that is the O with umlauts, and where this single quotation, apostrophe, or quotation mark is, that becomes the O with umlauts, or A with umlauts. Now I have to switch again. And then where the dash and underscore is, that is the double S symbol. And U with umlauts is where the open brackets symbols are. Because I type a lot in German and I just switch over. And every now and then I'll do that. I'll be typing on one page and one website in German. And all of a sudden I'll flip to the other one and forget to flip back. And all of a sudden, instead of saying, how are you, I'm doing, how are zoo? But yeah, if you have on your smartphones, you just hold the letter A down long enough and you can switch to it. When you go to press A, just hold the A, and all of a sudden all the various forms of A will come up. A's with a diacritic mark, A's with umlauts, etc., etc., etc. Wow, still got 20 people. Amazing. Well, you guys are gluttons for punishment, or you're just as bored as I am. which can slam on the brakes there. Trying to catch everybody. Come on. I'll get everybody else now. Nordvestbahn is still crawling at about 10 miles an hour. Nope, 7 kilometers an hour. Who's still going? Ah, the Regiobahn. That's who's going. Now let's just stop him at the station here. No, it looks like the icy. Did I not shut him all the way down? Nope, not quite. There we go. And where's my Regiobahn? All right. Well, you know what, people? I am going to go ahead and thank you all for stopping by. Again, please go over to my live stream number 9. And if you haven't entered the contest, enter the contest. Like I said, I'll work out exactly how to get you your gift certificate, award, what have you, once I pick a winner. But go ahead and enter. What the heck? Because right now I'm feeling like, wow, only 11 people were interested in, 12 people were interested in entering my contest. I feel so bad. I'd be entering contest. I never win, but I enter. All right, but anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and start signing off here. So everybody try to have a good day out there. Just remember, someday when we get through this all, we're going to look back and say, hey, we survived this. And unfortunately, not everybody can say that. And just hang in there, people. We've survived a lot worse. We got through World War II. The human race survived the horrible plagues of the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th century. We'll survive. Just try to keep a stiff upper lip, as we say, and take care of yourselves. And we'll see you all later. Goodbye, and